In this video, how to make your mapping app more accurate. Actually, it's better than that. It's how to make everyone's mapping app more accurate, regardless of the one you use.
Regardless of whether you plan your routes on Strava, on Ride with GPS, whether you use Komoot or any of the others, like Hammerhead's own platform, these are just overlay algorithms which sit on top of the same set of maps. OpenStreetMap is the source data. It's like a Wikipedia of maps because anyone can and should edit it if they find something wrong or missing. And like any algorithm, the solution that comes out is only as good as the data going in. In this case, a mapping route is only as good as the underlying data on the base map. Let me give you an example just up behind the house. Locally we call this the high road, but it's not really a road by modern standards. There's even a sign at the other end advising vehicles not to follow sat-navs along it. The sign is needed because the source mapping data is poor.
You'd get a skinny-tired road bike up to here along that road, but from this point onwards after the gate it gets a lot rougher. We're going to come back to this from the satellite. So let's think of this as the first section of track.
At the second gate, the access changes for vehicles. Also the road surface. It looks good at first, but it doesn't last.
Pretty soon, this has become a narrow section of track, totally unsuited to regular vehicles and to many bikes, for example. It's really only suitable to a gravel or a mountain bike because it is narrow and it is muddy and it just keeps on getting worse. Oh, sugar. So let's remember this as the second section of track. We now have two sections, totally different access rights and totally different surfaces. The first is relatively smooth and open to all vehicles. The second, much rougher, a dirt surface really, and only open to vehicles that have permission. Let's see how the mapping apps deal with this.
Incidentally, Ordnance Survey has it right, a drivable track to the second gate, then a narrow track thereafter. I will try to plot a route from here to here. If you are on a road bike, you should go down the yellow road and then red road at the bottom. Strava doesn't handle the route well. Set it to ride, to the most direct route, and to prefer paved surfaces, and it fails because it will direct you down that rough, narrow track you've seen, which is most definitely not a paved surface. You'd have to look down in the small print to realize it doesn't actually have any data about the track. And if this was part of a long ride, you might not notice this tiny portion until you try to cycle it. Ride with GPS does well. It allows me to plot the route, but makes it very clear that those two central sections are unpaved. Komoot is spot on, set for gravel cycling or for mountain biking, and it sends you down our track. Switch to road cycling, and it sends you around by the road.
Now at first I was puzzled by this. How can three different apps produce different mapping results, especially if they all use the same base map? Well, to understand this, you need to look at that base map in detail. And boy, is there a lot of detail.
This is OpenStreetMap. You can see it's correct in that those two central sections are marked as a track, but there's no distinction between the two. When you register, log in, and drop into edit mode, you access a deeper level. So this is where I said we'd return first, the firm but rough section of track between the first and second gates. Here you can see the common name isn't given. I'm going to leave that. The track type is solid. I'll add that. The surface hasn't been selected. You can see all the options that I have. Let's do that now. I think paved is best. On the allowed access, let's make it clear bicycles can use this track, and we'll say this is through local knowledge. Now let's move to where the track is muddy, loose, narrow and rough. As you can see, OpenStreetMap thinks it's exactly the same as the first section when clearly it's not. So we should change the track type to mostly solid, the surface type to dirt, Access for motor vehicle changes to no. That will eventually filter onto sat-navs, and other users, including bicycles, to yes. There's no way to say not road bikes. As I save and upload this, I have to add a change set comment. I can also tick if I want someone to check my edits. I used to do that when I was new to this platform. Now it's saved, and in time this will influence how all the mapping apps direct cyclists around here. I don't know how long it takes to filter through to them. But why was that original data so basic and incomplete?
I don't know the answer to that either. I suspect it's just part of a bulk upload from the local authority, and no one has had the time or knowledge to go through it all in detail and get every bit of it right. That's why, if we all want better mapping apps, I believe we should take it upon ourselves.
It's easy to register with OpenStreetMap and update roads or tracks in your area, and I think we all should. But regardless of the app, this one is Komoot, I always check a route on OpenStreet or OpenCycleMap. This can be done on the non-premium version of Komoot. It can also be done on the free version of Ride with GPS. There's actually more choice here. Strava doesn't have it, but you can get a browser plugin for Firefox and Chrome to give you that functionality, along with more. Although it doesn't seem to like OpenStreetMap's version right now.
So the next time you are cursing your mapping app for not being accurate enough, remember it's only as good as the data that's gone in, and I think that's on all of us to help put right. I've done more on using mapping apps in this video, which you might like. Shot that on my way into London, so rather different to out here. If you've enjoyed this, do give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and there'll be more videos like this. Take a look around the channel, see if you find more things you like. I will see you again next time. Goodbye.